Hello YouTube, Esther781 here. Today, good friend of mine bought a house recently, and this came on the property. It was sitting outside. The owners said they really didn't know what state it was in. It hasn't run in a long time. And now it's my problem. No, it's Craftsman LT2000, hydrostatic drive. It's sort of been sitting in that pile of leaves until I could get around to it. It's complete, has a bagger. The tube I took off just to get it through the door. Can't really tell in the video, but she's sitting pretty janky. I think this right rear tire is probably flat. Oh yeah, she's flat. Right front at least needs air or is flat as well. Let's just jump right into it, see if it runs, and go from there. And under the old powerhouse. Yeesh. Oh yeah. 18.5 horse Briggs. And it's got plenty of mice activity in it. If I get attacked by a mouse, I swear to God. Alright, let me get you in a stand. First things first, see if it has any oil in it. If you see a lot of ants scurrying around, ants made a house in this thing. Come on, what's going on here? Open sesame. There it goes. Yeesh. Well, it has oil in it. Why is that so tight? And it's over full. It smells like gas. So at least we know the carb's stuck. Well, let's at least see if she fires before we go any further. Pop the air cleaner off. Yeah, there's just ants running all over this thing. Air cleaner's actually not that dirty, but obviously it's getting changed. We blow some of this junk out. Pah. And let's see. I just got a booster pack hooked up right to the starter, and my kill switch is going to be the booster pack. So what could go wrong? I did pour a little fresh fuel into it. The tank was empty, which is a plus. So let's see what we get. Oh yeah. Fired right up. Oh, unfortunately that means we have to keep going. So usually how I go about starting the order of operations is I'll air up all the tires just to, number one, make sure they take air, and number two, this is probably going to be on my table for at least a week, if not 2 weeks. So if I start them all at filled and I come back out and see one's down, I know that we definitely have a leak, and how bad it is depending on how fast it goes down. Right now he's just wondering if it's going to cut grass. Well, if it runs, and if it's a good mower to put some money into. So I figured, why not help him out? So since we know the fuel's full of the oil's full of fuel anyway, why don't we start with that? Usually I'll suck these out, but when there's gas involved, I'd much rather, feels more thorough to just, I feel like this is going to overshoot and cover me with oil. It's much better practice to just drain it from the bottom. That way you know. There you go. I hate these freaking designs. It's all they do is make a mess. Trust me, it's not my fault. Yeah, get the oil draining. I don't want to get this hot because it's got fuel in the oil. And what that's going to do, if you don't know, is it's going to make the oil extremely thin, and it's going to wash out the journals and the bearings, and it's just, that's how engines blown. That's why when you see one for sale with a hole in the side of the block, that's what happened. So next, let's get this cover off. All right, got the 4 bolts disconnected. I'll make sure to stay out of your way so you guys get the money shot. Is there one more? Come on now, is there? Nope. Oh yeah. Oh, great. Now the question is going to be, did they chew through any of the wires? Alright, so based off of what we've seen so far, I'm a betting man, willing to bet that this is going to turn out okay. So what I'm going to do, and this is why I keep used motor oil around, is I'm going to run some used oil in the motor to, number one, clean out the rest of the gasoline, but number two, I'm going to drive it out front and I'm going to give it a bath, because this thing is just covered in ants above and below. It's going to be in here for God knows how long. And yeah, I just don't want to deal with that. So I might turn you on for the pressure washing. Some people love that kind of thing. So we'll see what happens. Well, I don't know how much you're going to be able to see or hear. I'll probably mute this so you don't get annoyed. But here we go. And the after. She's looking a little more presentable. Cover was filthy. Whole side of the engine cleaned up like new. I don't know if this thing has that many hours on it. The story behind it is, I think it was an old couple that owned the house. They passed away, so it sat, I don't want to say abandoned, but vacant for a few years. And then they bought the house, so oh, it's a shame. If only they just tucked it away in the garage. Anyway, back to the shop. Oh, it's just so much nicer when you're working in a clean environment and you're not worried about ants creeping and crawling all up and down you. So anyway, what do you want to do next? While it was running, I did engage the blades and they did turn on. So spoiler alert, that is fine. Obviously it drives fine, felt fine. I guess we'll check the pulleys, clean the carb. The fuel drained out. Doesn't have much in it. And I'm going to be changing this fuel line anyway, which is why I cut it. And we'll see how bad the carb is. I mean, it runs decent, but I have to keep the choke on a hair. So I am expecting it to be dirty, but I'm expecting it to come back. So let me get that pulled and I'll set you guys up on the bench. All right, got you on the carb cam. I can already see, look at the emulsion tube, covered in green fuzzies. And I can actually see down into the jet there. There's a bunch of crap. So let's get the bowl off. I loosened one of the nuts on the machine. I'm sorry, one of the screws. But the other one is just not playing nice. So I'm going to put I got a ratchet with a 1/4-inch drive and a bit here just to give me some leverage, because you don't want to strip these out. And Jesus. There we go. God. A lot of people absolutely hate these carbs. And I'll show you why in a minute. This is the infamous Nicky 6, the Nicky carb. And good note that I always do on these. I'm pretty sure doesn't matter, but put a scribe mark from one corner across the carb body. That way you know exactly how it came apart and exactly how it's going to go back together. Oh yeah, look at that crud. Ironically, that's that's bits of stabilizer, fuel stabilizer. There's the needle and float. Rubber actually feels pretty good. And here is the reason people don't like these. This weird, funny looking spaghetti strap gasket. It is one piece, but the part that gets everyone is this piece right here, which we know has failed on ours. If that fails, it will leak fuel sort of over this cover, bypassing the needle into the bowl and then into the engine. So you'll think you have a bad needle and seat, but really it's that O-ring right there that causes 90% of the issues with these carburetors. I would only recommend going Briggs for these replacements. I do have a set here. I'll give you the part number in a minute. Aftermarket is going to be much cheaper. They don't work. They barely fit right out of the bag, and the second they touch gasoline, they swell up. So I've gotten this down as much as we can to strip it, and now it's just getting a bath in the ultrasonic. I'll turn you back on in a minute. And just changing the oil for the second time while the carb's getting cleaned. Figured out why this one makes such a mess. Somebody pinched the O-ring. So how this works is, this is in the engine side, and there's that O-ring that I'm talking about. When you pull this cap, you're just supposed to twist and pull, just a little bit. It's not supposed to come all the way out. Activates a little check ball and lets it come out just there. But so many people roll this old O-ring, so that ends up coming out here and around the housing, getting oil everywhere. So I'm going to swap out this O-ring for that one and keep going. And sorry about the noise of the background. One of them is the ultrasonic cleaner, the other one is the fan. And no offense, but it's chafing season, so if you see me walking like a cowboy, mind your business. Anyway, check out the front end. The bushings are nice and tight. You just hold the spindle basically with one hand and give the wheel a shake. If it's going like this, you know the bushings are bad. And then up and down, we're checking the spindle. And this is the cast iron front end, which is the better of the front end options on these. And it's nice and tight. So all we're going to do is slap a little bit of grease into the spindles, and Bob's your uncle. Just so you see it come squeezing out. So actually, I found another problem. The steering on these things, I should be able to just push this with my thumb and finger and get it to move. This is tight. So a quick, easy way to determine whether it's down here or up there, pop off the steering link. Take a 1/2 inch wrench on the top, 9/16 nut on the bottom. Now we've separated the two systems. So if it's still hard to turn down here, we know that the issue is up there. And this feels perfect. So now we know the issue is further back. So, good news, bad news. Good news is, steering's nice and free. Just need a little WD-40 where the steering shaft goes down at the bottom. But I'm glad we looked into it anyway. Bad news is one of the drive pulleys under there. I can't really get you guys under there as you've seen in the past, but while I was working under there, I just sort of spun them all up. And I found one. Look at that. That is melted plastic. So this just stuck in one spot. And I mean, it's spinning, but can you hear that? Yeah, needs replacing. Fortunately, I do have another one in place. You may notice that does not match that. Not a problem. Let me show you. So I've run into this over and over again. Right church, wrong pew. Right pulley, wrong standoff. I take a 13/16 deep socket, which is just big enough to fit the middle piece through, but also rest on the inner race. And then just give her a couple of taps with a hammer. Pops right through. So we're going to save that piece, because that's the one we need. Put the new one in. Same story. Give her a couple of hits. Done. Could not be easier. Installation is reverse of removal. Take that, push it in. For this, I'll flip the socket around just to give myself a wider purchase area. Done. And there's your new quiet pulley. And lastly, while that carb finishes cooking, just going to sharpen up the blades. Nothing wrong with them, they just need a good edge. You don't need to watch me. Alright, back from the ultrasonic. That thing always does such a nice job. The thing looks absolutely brand new. Bowl cleaned up as well. So, word to the wise, when you're blowing these off, that is a jet. It is removable. If it's tight in there, don't mess with it. It's a special part number to get the O-ring that comes with that. And trust me, you'll save yourself a lot of headache. You can see it's nice and clean, nice and clear. Ask me how I know that is easy to lose. So, moving on. Showing you the gasket. It is right there. Part number 698781. So this is obviously the Briggs gasket. Look at that O-ring. Look how it's basically an identical match. Here is an aftermarket version. Look at that O-ring. It's not even close. Not even close. Now let me show you. I keep this around just to show people why I don't do it, and it's so expensive. So here's the aftermarket, and it's close. I mean, you can see it's definitely a little hanging over the sides, and if you were careful, it would probably get you by in a pinch. But look at that, it's literally flopping past. Now let me show you the Briggs. I think these have gone up to like $6 or $7 a package. But you get what you pay for, the old adage goes. There it is. Now that is nice, tight, and round, and it's going to mate up perfectly. Now, second part. The all-important O-ring. Right here. Try not to roll it. Just push it straight down. And there you go. She's ready to go back together. As I do with all of my carb rebuilds, a little WD-40 never hurt anybody or anything. Unless it got in your eyes. And it should just drop right down into place. Just make sure you're not rolling anything. And sorry, that's in. You should feel it kind of pop in, but not drastically. Don't know what I'm trying to say. Let me get my glasses, hold on. And when you're done, it'll look like that. You're in, solid, can't spin. Where's our mark? There's the scribe mark we made. Also on the bowl. Line it up, nice and snug. This bowl can go on either way, but it's just a good habit to get into so that no matter what you do, you know you put it back together the way it came apart. Also, be sure not to go too fast because you're looking through a camera and you're being watched by thousands of people. Don't judge me. Slide that in. It's mostly your fault too. You guys could have said, hey, you're forgetting something. So shame on you. Slap this together. We'll see you back on the machine. All right, carb is in. New fuel line is on. Now, do not forget one of the most important parts of putting this back together. This breather hose. I've seen it happen. People forget it, and that is a quick, fast, and in a hurry way to kill your motor. You'll just be sucking in all the dust, dirt, and debris straight, bypassing the filter, and there you go. So, why don't we, what's left, right? That's it. We gotta pop the cover down, put a new air filter in. Let's put some more oil in it, put some gas in it, and see if she still runs. Also, the astute of you will have noticed I've gotten rid of the filter. On gravity-fed systems, we've had this debate before. I just don't like a paper filter. I've seen them fail way too many times. So, you know, somebody's going to argue with me in the comment section, and I'll just say it. You're right. There you go. You win. But what I did add is a fuel shutoff. Anytime I'm dealing with these Nicky carbs, I always recommend people shut off the fuel when you're done. It's cheap insurance. Nobody checks the oil before they start their machine. And if this thing leaked fuel into it the whole time it's waiting for you to mow, you're just going to sit down, fire it up, and blow your engine about halfway through the lawn. So, cheap insurance. All right. Fuel's in. Oil's in. Let's see what happens. Key on. Fire in the hole. And there you have it. Another one done. Another one in the books. Runs pretty well. Unfortunately, it's raining, and I already mowed the lawn, but Bagger is throwing some clippings. But I'm going to hang on to it, just mow my lawn with it and make sure everything's good before I give it back to him. Anyway, thanks again for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.